Hare Krishna. Warm welcome to all of you for today's Gita Live session. And today we have chosen a very important topic, and the discussion is going to be on sleep. As we all agree, sleep is a very integral part of our lives. On an average, even if we keep 6 hours on an average, although many people sleep more, one fourth of our lives, between one fourth and one third of our lives, we spend in sleeping. And sleep is a very important requirement for our body to function at its optimal best. So we will discuss this important subject. We will also take some wonderful insights about sleep which Lord Shri Krishna shares in the Bhagavad-Gita. There are many verses where Krishna is talking about sleep. And we will also discuss some of the very important things which Prabhupada mentions in his purports with respect to sleep. So before we get into the discussion, we would start the session with prayers. Request all of you to join me in offering these prayers. I will be chanting these prayers. Request you all to fold your hands and either repeat after me or along with me we can go ahead and offer these prayers. Seek the blessings of Srila Prabhupada, Lord Chaitanya, Lord Shri Krishna, so that we can have a very nice, wonderful session with a lot of takeaways, a lot of learnings emerging from this particular discussion. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratushe Namaha Namo Brahmane Devaya Go Brahmane Hitaya Cha Jagadhitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare So today's discussion will have some important categories. I will just share with you before we get into the discussion what are the broad categories or the broad subjects which we'll be talking of in the overall topic of how to get good, deep, restful sleep. So first we will talk about what Lord Shri Krishna talks about in the Bhagavad-Gita. What are the direct verses in the Gita where Krishna is talking about sleep? What are those verses? Second, we will talk about okay, sleep is important. How many hours we should sleep? There's a lot of there's no consensus per se. A lot of people say 6 hours is enough. Some people say no, minimum 8 hours is enough. So we'll talk about that. What's an optimal number of hours a person should strive for, should aspire for sleeping in a particular day, that is 24 hours. So we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about sleep cycle, which is a very, very important thing for us to understand if we have to optimize our sleep, if we have to be if we want to be fresh after we get up in the morning. Then we'll talk about many people have a challenge. They want to get up, they keep an alarm, but then when the alarm rings, there's a battle between mind and mattress. So how to win that battle, we'll talk about it. And last, we will end this discussion with some practical do's and don'ts. Some simple instructions which, if we can directly apply, I'm sure we can, it will go a long way in getting a better, good quality sleep. Now, first we'll start with the discussion on why sleep is important and what Krishna says about sleep in the Gita. The two verses where first verse Krishna talks about one who eats too much or eats too less, sleeps too much or does not sleep enough, cannot be a yogi. So in this verse, Krishna is directly talking about the importance of sleep, regulation, neither too less nor too much. One who eats too much or does not eat enough, one who sleeps too much or does not sleep enough cannot be a yogi. Even if we want to be a yogi, although we have heard of yogis sleeping very less, conquering their sleep, still Krishna says there has to be a regulation. There's another verse where Krishna says one who is regulated in his eating, sleeping, recreation and work can mitigate all material miseries arising from material contact by practicing this yoga system. Again, regulation. One who is regulated in his eating, sleeping, recreation and work. As I mentioned earlier, we all need good quality sleep for us to work efficiently, for us to have optimal health. A lot of people who have challenges with respect to sleep in terms of insomnia or not getting good quality sleep invariably will also have challenges with respect to their alertness, their ability to work efficiently, even with their health issues. So sleep is very important. Although we know that when we come to Krishna consciousness, we want to minimize the number of hours we sleep because we understand that we have a lot more important functions to spend our time on, to engage in the service of the Lord. Time is very precious. We all have limited time. Human life is very precious. Before we take our last breath, we have a lot of important things to accomplish the purpose of human form of life. In that sense, we can see that sleep is a necessary evil, because we have to spend time, which in that sense we see that the time goes away. So what is that optimal level of sleep where, yes, we get the required rejuvenation for the body, and we also do not end up sleeping too much and waste our precious time? As we all know, this subject of sleep, if you also Google, a lot of research happening all over the world. Many research papers have been published. There are sleep researchers who are dedicated researching on the topic of sleep, because a lot of people all over the world are having issues with respect to sleep. I was reading an article. They are among the top 10 selling or prescribed drugs or the medicines. 2 or 3 of them are tranquilizers or sleeping pills. A lot of issues, a lot of people are not able to sleep unless they take some pills to induce sleep. Many people having issues like insomnia. So let's discuss what is the optimal number of hours a person should sleep in 24 hours. A lot of research has happened on this particular topic. No doubt the number of hours varies on various factors. The age, when the childhood, maybe the number of hours sleep required for the body is more so when a person becomes old, the requirement for sleep will increase. So a lot of research was done on this particular subject. So some research threw up the results like, okay, we need minimum of 7 to 8 hours. Some researchers came up with the finding that 6 to 7 hours is enough. And over the years, when you collate all the research findings, you will see that there is not much consensus. There's a lot of different researchers are throwing up different results. In fact, there have been a lot of conferences held on this particular topic, and a lot of people have debated on this subject. And finally, there is some consensus emerging. No doubt we need 6 to 7 hours of sleep, but today a lot of people are talking about it is not the number of hours, it's not the quantity of sleep which we have to worry about, which we have to talk about. The most important thing which we have to talk about or strive for is not the quantity of sleep, but the quality of sleep. If a person gets 5 hours of deep, good, restful sleep, it's much better than 7 hours or 8 hours of sleep where he is tossing and turning in the bed and mind is racing. He's not got a deep, restful sleep. That's why you would have seen many times we also, when we wake up in the morning, even after 7 hours of sleep, 8 hours of sleep, we're not fresh. We feel groggy. We feel tired. So it's important that we learn or we practice, we mold our lives, we follow certain principles, follow certain regulations so that we get good quality sleep, deep, restful sleep. That's very important. No doubt, the number of hours is also important, but relatively speaking, it's secondary. There were yogis who were having very, very good control over their mind, over the senses. They would sleep for a few hours. Srila Prabhupada, He would sleep for 3 or 4 hours. He would get up at 1 o'clock in the night, and for 4 hours he would be transcribing Bhakti Vedanta purports. And 5 o'clock he would go for a morning walk, do his japa, chanting, and whole day he would be busy with various activities, traveling world over. At the age of 70, 75, no jet lag, very energetic, talking to different devotees, answering the letters, meeting so many people, going to different places, addressing students in MIT, different conferences he attended. He would sleep for barely 3 to 4 hours. So it is possible that we can reduce the number of hours, but if we are having good control over our mind, our thoughts, our senses, and we are able to get good, deep, restful sleep, then we can manage. Because at the end of the day, body needs time to rejuvenate. Sleep is a time when body rejuvenates, re-energizes itself. So we should not just blindly go for the number of hours of sleep. Understand why sleep is important for the body and get good quality sleep. That should be our desired aspiration or goal. Before we get into what we can do, what regulations we can follow, it is very important for us to understand a concept called sleep cycle. Many people are not aware of this understanding of sleep cycle. When we go to rest in the night, when we sleep, we go through different stages of sleep. It is not that we just go to sleep and then there's a constant, we are deep sleep, and then morning when the alarm rings or when we want to wake up, we wake up. There are different stages of sleep. And as I said, many people have done research on this, so they have figured out there are different ways of measuring the brain waves when we are sleeping, just like heartbeat can be measured, heart rate can be measured. So when we go to bed, we go through a stage which is between wakeful stage and deep sleep stage. That's called stage 1, where the number of cycles per second, a brain frequency at which the brain, the neurons vibrate, reduces. And then we get into stage 2 sleep, which is between stage 1 and stage 3, which is deep sleep stage. Deep sleep stage or stage 3 is the time when actually all the growth hormones, all the repairing work, the brain sending signals to various parts of the body, getting signals back from the various parts. Because ultimately, assuming that a person is, some things have to be repaired, he's got a cut in his body, the signals have to go back and forth. Just like I was thinking, just like when airplane comes back and lands, it has to go to a hangar for some repairs. And that is a time when all the engineers work on the plane, figure out where it has gone wrong, what parts have gone faulty, removing those parts, replacing those parts, and then the plane comes back out of the hangar, and then it can be used for for its normal operations. So so then we have deep sleep, which is called stage 3. And this is where actually the stage 3 is the most important part, where the body gets rejuvenated. And then we have again back to stage 2, and then we have REM, rapid eye movement, where this is a stage where a person will most likely get some dreams. This is when a person tosses and turns in the bed. And then again a person goes through the next cycle. So these cycles, we go in multiple cycles in a particular night. REM, stage 1, stage 2, deep sleep, stage 2, REM, again back to stage 2, stage 3, which is deep sleep, and we go to multiple cycles. Now, many people have faced this problem. They keep an alarm. They have decided the previous night that I will get up at 5:30 a.m., or whatever the time may be, or 6 a.m. And when the alarm rings, we somehow force ourselves out of the bed. And even if we have slept for 6 hours, 7 hours, assuming that previous night I have slept on time and got good 6 hours of sleep, 6.5 hours of sleep, I wake up when the alarm rings, somehow push myself out of the bed. Quite possible that we will feel very groggy, very sleepy. If we are chanting, we're not able to chant properly, not able to concentrate. And one might wonder, what mistake have I done? I have slept for 6.5 hours and have got a fairly good quality of sleep. I didn't wake up in the night. What went wrong? The answer is, if you have woken up when you were in a stage 3 or deep sleep stage, and suddenly because of alarm you woke up, then you will feel groggy, you will feel completely, so to say, uncomfortable. You will feel very drowsy, you will feel like go back and sleep, irrespective of number of hours you have slept. So therefore it is said the best stage when a person wakes up is REM stage, rapid eye movement. That's the time when a person is almost awake. So in a particular, the typical sleep cycle, again it varies from person to person, it's around 90 minutes. It varies. For somebody it could be 70 minutes, 80 minutes, it could be 110 minutes. It is good that we complete some number of cycles and not wake up in between a cycle, more so when we are in deep sleep stage. So let's say a person has woken up in a REM stage after 3 cycles of sleep. He'll be more fresh than a person who was woken up in deep sleep stage, stage 3, after having completed 4 cycles of sleep. Now it's a very tricky question. So how do we figure out? How do we wake up when we are in a REM stage or stage 1 after having completed 1 cycle? That is why it is very, very important. If you check, on Google or YouTube, how to get good quality sleep, invariably you will get a suggestion that be very disciplined as far as your sleep timings are concerned. Sleep as far as possible, sleep at the same time and get up at the same time every day, including weekends. A lot of people think Sunday is a day where we can, catch up with the rest and sleep more. Doesn't matter. But what happens is we have a biological clock, a rhythm. Assuming, let's say, a person sleeps at 10 o'clock and gets up at 5 o'clock, and suddenly the next day a person sleeps at 10:35 and again tries to get up at 5 o'clock, it will be a big mess. Because 10 o'clock to 5 o'clock, assuming the body has got used to, and then suddenly he sleeps at 10:30, invariably at 5 o'clock he would be in middle of a sleep cycle. So without getting too much into technical details about sleep cycle, by the way, there are some apps which can help one identify one's sleep cycles. and accordingly wake up a person. So in other words, there are apps which will monitor based on your bodily movements in the bed, monitor the sleep cycle, and when you say an alarm of, let's say, 5 o'clock in the morning, it won't wake you up at 5 o'clock sharp. It will wake up when you are in stage 1. It could be 5:10, it could be 4:45, 4:50. And in the app, there are some settings which you can say how many 30 minutes of that buffer time you have to give. So this is just a concept which we should keep in mind. This will resolve a lot of doubts which comes in our mind that, in spite of sleeping for 6 hours, still why I feel groggy at times when I wake up. So understanding of sleep cycle is very important. Sometimes you would have realized we have woken up for catching a flight or something, and we have slept for 3 hours also, only in the night, and we seem to be fresh. We seem to be alert. Also, these days, people are talking about power nap. Power nap is where a person sleeps for 20 minutes or 20 to 25 minutes. This is when the body gets into stage 1 sleep and has not got into stage 2 and stage 3 deep sleep. And when a person wakes up after in a stage 1 sleep, he feels relaxed and rejuvenated. He's got some sleep, but he's not got into deep sleep where to wake up suddenly he'll feel groggy and tired. That's again, sleep cycle understanding helps us understand what is power nap. So today we will discuss something more about this particular topic, and I thought we will also have some kirtans. I got a lot of requests last time that in the live Gita live session we used to have in Powai, we used to have kirtans, and now the discussion 1.5 hours can become very intense, and we also need quote unquote a small break. And no doubt kirtans of the Lord are very rejuvenating spiritually, and even from the point of our spiritual boost. So we'll now, maybe 5 minutes from now, we'll have kirtans. Request all of you to enthusiastically participate. Please do not log off. I have a lot more to share with you. As I mentioned, I'll be sharing with you some practical tips which you can right away implement in your life, and I'm sure you will see a drastic improvement in your sleep quality. So now, when we wake up, when we, let's say we have kept an alarm that I want to wake up at 5 o'clock. When the alarm rings, we have made a resolve the previous night that I want to wake up at 5 a.m. I want to get up and I want to chant my rounds. I want to do so many things. I want to maybe do some exercises and then go to my office, then go to my work, go for my work. So when the alarm rings, many times, many people encounter a scenario where we suddenly hit the snooze button and we want to sleep for another 10 minutes. So practically speaking, there's a difference between wake up time and the time we actually get up from the bed. If we are used to the snooze button option in the alarm clock. Wake up time is the time when actually the alarm rings, and get up time is the time when we actually get out of the bed. And between that wake up time and the time we actually get up, there is a battle which goes on. And the battle is between our mind and mattress. Suddenly at that point, the mind comes up with different reasons, different thoughts, how it's better for you to sleep for another 10 minutes, 20 minutes. It will be more relaxing so that you can get up fresh. Some article you have read about why it is important to have 6 hours, 7 hours sleep, that article suddenly will pop up in the mind. Suddenly a person may feel, no, I'm still a little tired, I need a little more rest. And at times we switch off the alarm and suddenly find ourselves waking up 1.5 hours, 2 hours later. And the whole day is gone. Then throughout the day we are struggling to catch up with our chanting, catch up with all our, whatever we had planned for that particular day. That's why it is very important to aspire for early morning victory. We sleep at a particular time and wake up at the time which we have decided the previous night to wake up, come what may. Now, when the mind gives up different ideas, different thoughts, it is best to wake up, to get up, and not keep pressing the snooze button or switch off the alarm. That's why it is also advised that we keep an alarm little far away from the bed. At least to switch off the alarm, we have to physically get out of the bed. This helps. Now, if we all have something called as personal integrity account. Just like we have a bank account, there is some debits and credits. When we deposit the money in our bank account, there is a credit. When we withdraw the money, there is a debit. And then we have a bank balance. Anytime we take a printout of our bank account pass sheet or whatever, you will see a balance which will have, passbook will show some debits, some credits, and the final net balance in our bank account. All of us have something called as personal integrity account. That means the amount of trust we have on ourselves. When we make a resolve or a commitment, not only at what time we'll wake up, for any other thing, when we keep up that commitment, there is a deposit in our personal integrity account. Our confidence in ourselves, in our ability to make and keep promises increases. There is a deposit in our personal integrity account. And whenever we make a commitment and do not keep up that commitment, when we say that I'll get up at 5 a.m. and I don't get up at 5 a.m., there's a withdrawal from my personal integrity account. In other words, over a period of time, if there's a lot of withdrawals, there are a lot of commitments which I have made and I'm not able to keep up that commitment many times, and the withdrawals happen quite often, there could be a negative balance in my personal integrity account. A negative balance indicates that a person does not trust himself. When a person, let's say, aspires to achieve a particular goal, he sets a goal that I want to be this or do this or achieve this, his mind will doubt. You can't even get up at 5 a.m. You think you will do this? You'll be able to achieve this? So we all have an internal chatter going on within our minds. The thoughts keep producing. So when a person keeps a commitment and, as per the commitment, executes his life, there are deposits in this personal integrity account. So therefore, it's very important that we get up, because we have decided, not that someone else has come and kept the alarm the previous night. We have decided that I'll get up at 5 a.m. So it is good, not only from the point of view of early morning victory, also from the point of view of personal integrity account. We'll have confidence in ourselves. We'll start the day with victory. But as I mentioned earlier, there's a danger that we can be getting up in middle of a sleep cycle. Therefore, it is very important that we also sleep on time. No doubt in life there will be some circumstances, guests have come up, some urgent meeting has been, we have to participate in some urgent call. Exceptions are there, but exception should not become a rule. We should try as far as possible to lead a very regulated lifestyle, a disciplined lifestyle. Sleep on the same time and get up at the same time all 7 days in a week as far as possible. So now we will have some kirtans. Request all of you to enthusiastically participate. It will be for around 10 minutes. And immediately after the kirtan, we have the most important part of today's discussion, and that is practical tips, practical instructions, which if we apply in our lives, we can immensely benefit and get good quality restful sleep. So now we'll have kirtans.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. You guys a little louder, please. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. One more time, a little louder with your heart. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. One more time, a little louder, everybody. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
So welcome back. I hope you all enjoyed the kirtans. Must be quite rejuvenating spiritually. Before I get into the last part, which is the practical tips, let's do a small recap of what we discussed so far. First, we talked about that sleep is a very important and integral part of our life. Krishna also talks about one who sleeps too much or does not sleep enough cannot be a yogi. Then he talks about one who is regulated in his eating, sleeping, recreation and work can mitigate all material pains. And then we talked about how many hours of sleep a person should aspire for. We concluded that part saying that it is not the number of hours which is important, it is not the quantity which we have to worry much about, it's the quality of sleep. Having talked about quality, it's important for us to understand sleep cycle. In other words, we go through many cycles in a particular night. We should try to wake up at the end of a cycle rather than in middle of a cycle when we are in a deep sleep stage. If we wake up by force, just by determination, by sheer determination, quite possible in spite of sleeping 7 hours, we will feel quite groggy and not rested. Then we talked about that how it is important that we discipline our lives. No doubt we will have some circumstances where some important call we have to attend or some important meeting or some guest comes to our place. We may not be able to strictly follow a very disciplined lifestyle, but as far as possible, we should try to be regulated, including weekends. As far as possible, we should try to sleep at the same time and wake up at the same time so that the body gets adjusted to a particular cycle, and it's easy for us to fall asleep and also to wake up. At times when you have a very good body rhythm, then you don't need an alarm clock. At that particular time, more or less at that particular time you will be able to easily wake up. And waking up at the right time as per your commitment the previous night is important. It's also important for your personal integrity account. Otherwise, many times if we have making a resolve that I will wake up at a certain time and morning I'm not able to get up, I lose that battle between mind and mattress, then quite possible that we lose confidence on ourselves. So our mind will start doubting that this small simple thing you're not able to do, what you will do big things in life. So we lose trust on ourselves. So it's very important that we make and keep up our commitments. And the first thing we do in the morning is waking up. If that commitment we falter for whatever reason, then the whole day can go bad. And also when we wake up in the morning, we get good quality time. We are relatively undisturbed. The world hasn't woken up, and we can do a lot of like chanting, reading, attending Mangalarti, many spiritual activities. Last time we talked about Brahma Muhurta time. We can engage in those spiritually enriching activities and immensely benefit because of that particular time. So now coming to practical tips. First thing, it's very important that most of us here today in this particular session may not be taking tea, coffee. If a person is taking, it's important that we keep at least 7 to 8 hours of gap between our sleep time. Let's say a person is sleeping at 9:30 or 10 p.m. You should avoid taking any kind of stimulants, nicotine, caffeine, energy drinks, tea, coffee, at least 10 hours gap. That means from 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the afternoon you should avoid, because when this caffeine or nicotine is there in our bloodstream, it can disturb our sleep cycle. They're stimulants. They can disturb our sleep cycle. So keep that gap. Some people cannot avoid tea, coffee. They've got used to it. So you can have it probably in the morning. Best is to avoid. Best that we don't fall trap to any addictions, be it very gross or subtle. Caffeine is also in one form, it's addictive. 3 hours before sleep, let's say if a person sleeps at 10 p.m., 3 hours, there should be minimum 3 hours, 2.5 to 3 hours gap between our meal and the sleep time. Now there's a technical reason behind that. A lot of blood in our body is residing near the gut area, the intestine area. And if we eat very close to our bedtime, sleep time, then a lot of energy in our body gets consumed in digesting the food, even when we are sleeping. So that blood is unable to reach to the brain. That's why many of us in the afternoon, after having had a heavy lunch, we feel groggy and sleepy. Because the blood is in that gut area, in the stomach area, aiding the digestion process. So when we have eaten quite late and slept, not kept that gap, then there is not enough supply of blood to the brain. And as I mentioned, brain does a very important function when we are sleeping to rejuvenate the body. A lot of signals go from the brain back and forth to different parts of the body. It coordinates various functions which are happening in the body. The organs are still functioning, and that can get severely disrupted if we have eaten late. A lot of energy gets consumed in digesting the food, and that's why even after you have slept for 6 hours, 7 hours, or if you have respected the sleep cycle which I talked about, quite possible that we will not wake up refreshed. So keep a 3-hour gap, and this has been practiced. If you see our elders in the family, they were very close to sunset time. they were having their meals. Now times have changed. People, sleep late and eat late, have very late dinners. That has resulted in many lifestyle diseases. But otherwise, it's best that we have our last meal before sunset, which is 7 o'clock. And even many so-called accomplished people, if you check, Akshay Kumar very emphatically talks about his schedule, and he does not eat after 6:30 p.m., including, he is the highest paid actor in the country. In the Forbes 100 list, he is there. None of the Indian actors are there in the first top 100 list. And he sleeps at the right time, wakes up early in the morning, and even if he has to go to the parties, he tries to get back home in time and avoid a lot of social outings late in the night, and especially eating late. It's possible. Where there is a will, there is a way. A mind will come up with reasons. No, no, Swamiji, my lifestyle is different. I'm in a family. I have a lot of commitments. I have family members all around. It's difficult to be disciplined. Where there is a will, there is a way. We have to try as far as possible to follow these guidelines, which will help us. So first I talked about avoid stimulants, caffeine, nicotine of any form, at least 8 to 10 hours before our actual sleep time. 3 hours before our sleep time, we avoid eating our last meal. We should have eaten before that. Best is if we can have it before sunset. 1 hour before our actual sleep time, we should avoid doing intense discussion, watching television, engaging in some social media interactions, or working on our laptops. Any of those devices which emit blue light can disrupt our, when we, in the night time, there's a hormone called melatonin which gets produced, which basically indicates to the body that it's a time for us to sleep. Can disrupt that secretion of that hormone. So 1 hour before our actual sleep time, we avoid engaging in any intense activity. That's a time when we start winding up, literally winding up. That's a time when we can take a shower, we can read some book, we can do some chanting, we can hear some light relaxing music. In other words, we have to prepare. Just like a farmer, when he doesn't suddenly go to the farm and puts the seed. He prepares the land, tills the land, puts the right kind of manure, puts the right kind of moisture or water, and then he puts the seed. So in other words, some element of preparation is required. Suddenly we can't expect that I crash into the bed and I'll get a very good quality deep restful sleep. It doesn't happen like that. For anything, we have to do some bit of preparation, some bit of work, some bit of preparation for that. And 1 hour, and we as devotees, Prabhupada talked about the sandwich program. Morning, yes, we have to get up, remember the Lord, start our day with some spiritual activities. It is best that 1 hour before our bedtime, scheduled bedtime, we also engage in spiritual activities like chanting, like reading Gita, like reading Krishna book, like hearing to some soft melodious bhajans. And if we have done that kind of a preparation, there's a very good possibility that we'll get good deep restful sleep, and we will not get any kind of, there are some questions which I am seeing here, that how can we control the kind of dreams? Sometimes we get bad dreams in our night. We will have very good, spiritually uplifting, very nice Krishna conscious dream possible, because we have prepared ourselves, we have thought of Krishna before before resting. And last but not the least, as I mentioned, we have to be regulated. We should have Exceptions always there. Exception should not become a rule. We should have a scheduled sleeping time, time when we'll go to the bed, and scheduled time when we'll wake up. And this over a period of time, with experience, with some observation, some contemplation, we'll get to know what's my body cycle time. What time if I go to bed, I'm able to easily wake up rejuvenated, refreshed at 5 a.m. That's if that is the kind of time you're looking at. Plus minus something, you'll be able to figure out what's your body rhythm like. And once you have figured out, then try to stick to that schedule as far as possible. Exceptions will be there, but exceptions, as I mentioned, should not become a rule. Another last part before we get into the question answer part. Many times people may have a situation where you have slept at the scheduled time, but you're not getting sleep. And then we suddenly, see the watch and we realize it's, oh my God, it's already 10:30. I've not slept. And still we are tossing and turning in the bed, and then we again see the watch and it's 11 o'clock. Still I'm not getting sleep. And then a person may start worrying, I'm not getting sleep. I'm not getting sleep. And rich becomes richer, poor becomes poor. Already we are not getting sleep, and because of that worry that I'm not getting sleep, why I'm not getting sleep, it actually disrupts our sleep. So if we have gone to bed, if its scheduled time is 10 p.m. and we have gone to the bed, and suddenly we realize that at 10:20 I'm not getting sleep and quite fresh. It could be various reasons could be contributing to this. Then the best is that we do not remain in the bed and keep tossing and turning, and keep watching the timepiece and saying why I'm not getting sleep. It's best that we come out of the bed, if possible go to another room. Ideally our bedroom should be meant for only one activity, that is to sleep, predominantly to sleep. No doubt other things also can be done, but mainly to sleep. We can go to the adjacent room or whatever room, depends on situation we have at our place, and chant or read, but it should be very relaxing activity. And go back to the bedroom only if we feel sleepy again. Let's say half an hour, 45 minutes down the line, you start feeling little drowsy, little sleepy, then go back to the bed. And assuming that again the same pattern repeats, then it's best not to toss and turn in the bed. Better to come back and again do some chanting or reading. At least you're not wasting your time. But that should be done, dim light, relatively speaking, because if we put on the light, full light, then quite possible again we will find it difficult to sleep because of the bright light. So in a dim light, if we can do some bit of reading, some bit of chanting. Chanting is much easier even without putting on the lights. And when we feel drowsy, we again go back to the bed. So that way we can try, because there will be days when we are not getting sleep even though we have gone to bed at the right time. Again, there are some medical conditions. I've got some question here, which could also contribute to we not getting sleep. So there could be various factors. These are some guidelines which we can keep in mind, which will help us get good sleep. So I'll stop here. We'll take some questions. We have many devotees who have asked questions on the topic we discussed today. This question is from Bal Ganesh. As per Srimad Bhagavatam, sleep as determined by different functions are said to be the distinct characteristic of intelligence. Please elaborate on this, Prabhu. Frankly speaking, I have not able to fully comprehend the question, so I would like to skip. Maybe you can ask separately and I would like to answer. This question is from Shyam Kalyan. Do we have control on what happens during sleep? If yes, how we can keep our dreams pure? I mentioned just now, it is best 1 hour before our scheduled sleep time. We do not engage in any intense activity, catching up with our work, our emails, interacting with others on Facebook, social media, watching television, watching some news. That's a time where we wind up, engage in some relaxing activities. Best if we engage in spiritual activities. If we have engaged the last half an hour before our scheduled sleep time in chanting, reading, hearing something about the Lord, some bhajans, then for sure, our dreams will be pure. This question is from Lakshmi Gopal. In the Bhagavatam, Prabhupada says even preachers can be killed. How do we understand exalted devotees dying violently? Suffering is fine, but dying violently, how do we understand? This question is not pertaining to the discussion what we had on the topic today. So I would like to skip this question. Although the question is good, maybe in some of the Gita live session, I will try to take up this particular point. Why devotees who are under the protection of the Lord also seem to have got killed. This question is from Manjunath Gowda. Sometimes we get sleep full of a kind of very much active dreams. We feel like never slept, even for an hour. Kindly tell solution for this problem. Some of the guidelines which I mentioned, some of the points which I mentioned will help in getting good quality sleep, avoiding late night dinners, last 1 hour engaging in relaxing activities. We can also offer prayers to the Lord. If assuming that someone is having a lot of challenge, we can pray to the Lord for blessing us with good restful sleep so that we can wake up refreshed and serve the Lord better. So with the blessings of the Lord, anything is possible. Lord is all powerful. Whatever we are lacking, we can request the Lord and be little detached. Sometimes Lord has a higher plan. He may not sanction what we are asking. We should still trust the Lord and believe that there may be a higher plan. Lord wants me to go through this for something better known to Him. This question is from Amrita Masani. While chanting Hare Krishna mantra, can we cook, clean, and do all the work as you mentioned? It should be focused mantra. Although this question is not pertaining to the discussion we had, nevertheless, small answer I would like to give. The prescribed number of rounds, assuming that someone has taken a commitment of 8 rounds or 16 rounds, that should be done with attention in a very focused manner, sitting in one place on the japa mala beads. Over and above that, we can, while cooking, while traveling, we can do, because when we are cooking or when we are traveling, we will not have full attention, we'll be inattentive, and that's a kind of offense. It is better than not chanting, but our prescribed number of rounds, ideally we should sit in one place and do with full attention. This question is from Anupama Govinda Das. As we get up early, afternoon body demands sleep and disturbs our night bedtime. What to do? Even if we get sleep in the night, we feel sleepy in the night, more so if we have got up very early in the morning, we should avoid sleeping for long. We should not sleep for 2 hours, 3 hours in the afternoon. We can take an afternoon nap if the body is feeling very tired. Try if we can manage with a power nap, as I mentioned, 20 minutes. It will be rejuvenating and still we will not have gone into a deep sleep stage, and we will not feel groggy. Avoid sleeping more than 1 hour in the afternoon. Otherwise, it will disrupt our night sleep. This question is from Manish Kumar. How to worship unmanifested form of Lord according to Bhagavad-Gita? I will avoid this question because again not related to the topic. I'm trying to avoid some questions which I see here which are not relevant, or not I won't say relevant. They are very good questions, but it's not relating to the topic we discussed. This question is from Sunil Kumar. If you get dreams during sleep, are they related with quality? Sattvic dreams or nightmares? So is sleep then useful in spiritual development? Sleep is good in spiritual development from the perspective that for body to function optimally well, including to do spiritual activities, we need good sleep. That's why Krishna says one who sleeps too less or sleep enough cannot be a yogi. One who is regulated in his eating, even for engaging our body in spiritual activities, we need good rest. And as far as dreams is concerned, we can, to a large extent, dreams are not in our control, full control. A lot of things are stored in our subconscious mind. But to some extent, we can make our dreams pure by engaging in spiritual activities in last 1 hour before we go to bed. We should avoid uh, watching television sitting in our bed, watching some films and suddenly crashing to the bed and sleeping. We should prepare for a good restful sleep. Nothing happens accidentally. Anything, no pain, no gain. So even if we have to get good sleep, we have to put some efforts. This question is from Sadhana Gupta ji. In spite of good intention to sleep and wake up at a regulated time, a medical condition does not allow. How one can help this? Yes, as I mentioned that all the points which we talked about today may not be may not ensure, medical condition of a person may disrupt a person's sleep, may not be able to, like for some people have diabetes, they have to get up 2-3 times in the night to for urination. So it is best we consult a doctor, a specialist on the subject who is quite well versed with that medical condition and take his guidance. Like for example, people who are specialists in, doctors who are specializing in diabetes, I'm sure they will have some tips. What can a person do so that he gets good quality sleep? So we can consult a doctor and take his advice. Uh, and I'm sure something can be done which will help us move towards good quality sleep, although medical condition can disrupt our sleep patterns. This question is from Anil Bhargav. My body clock sleep hours is 8 hours. How do I reach to good sleep time, able to wake up early and do proper chanting during Brahma Muhurta? Currently, I sleep at 10 p.m. and wake up at 6 a.m. Please help. Again, the amount of hours, the number of hours varies from person to person, depends on many factors, the kind of uh, work we engage in. Some people engage in a lot of physical activity, so body may need more rest. Also the amount of hours we need depends on our age. As I mentioned, elderly people or toddlers, the young kids, they need more sleep. uh, Knowing that 8 hours could be too much, Prabhupada in the Bhaktivedanta purport mentions that we should try 6 hours on an average is good enough for us to get rejuvenated. So try few things. If we can uh, engage in some chanting or reading in the night, we can pray to the Lord. And as I talked about sleep cycle, try to reduce one cycle instead of reducing 20 minutes or 30 minutes and trying to wake up and trying to sleep 7.5 hours or 7 hours. Just try to observe the number of sleep cycles, understanding of sleep cycle, and try to cut down one sleep cycle. So even with about 60, 70 or 80 minutes of less sleep, you will still feel relaxed and rejuvenated. This question is from Bala Ganesh. As per Vaishnava philosophy, the experiences in sleep are true. Many pastimes reveal Lord appearing and guiding them. Can we relish when we get any dreams in relation to the Lord or devotees? First and foremost, we don't have full control over our dreams. And if we get the Lord, Srila Prabhupada, coming in our dreams and giving us some instructions, we are blessed. Nothing to worry about. But not everything we can check with other devotees before we start acting on what we have seen in the dreams. This question is from again Anil Bhargav. Is it possible to be able to practice or remain in Krishna conscious situation during the sleep? If yes, how do I practice and how not to reach to that level? Yes, it is possible to be Krishna conscious even while we are sleeping. I have shared this incident many times. Many of you would have heard about when I was in Kurukshetra doing my engineering. Uh, I used to go to the ISKCON temple there, and one devotee there invited me. It was quite late in the night, and he told me that you can go back, you can stay overnight here in the temple. He was alone, and tomorrow morning you can go back to your hostel. I was quite reluctant, but since I was not prepared, I had not carried anything for me. So I was quite reluctant, but nevertheless, since it was quite late, I agreed. And it was summertime. We went to the terrace. He had already arranged a bed for himself because he was sleeping there every night. And he also arranged one bed for me. And since his bed was a permanent arrangement, so it had a mosquito net. And since he had made a makeshift arrangement for me, he could not arrange a mosquito net. And both of us slept, and I couldn't sleep because there were a lot of mosquitoes. And I could see him snoring. He was getting very good sleep. He was in the mosquito net, completely undisturbed from the mosquitoes. And I couldn't sleep. I could hear him snoring. And as I told that we go through sleep cycles, then we come to a REM stage. That is the time हम लोग बोलते हैं करवट बदलना. We are little bit more or less awake, and then we again go back to deep sleep. So when after say 80-90 minutes, I saw him that he woke up. He turned in the bed, and while he was turning in the bed, he was murmuring, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. He chanted 2 or 3 times and then again slept off, again started snoring. And after that incident, that particular night, that experience which I went through, although yes, it was not a pleasant experience because of mosquitoes, but having seen him chanting while he is sleeping, my faith in him increased manyfold. I started visiting more often and spending time with him, because he was a person. Anybody can fake Krishna consciousness, can pretend that he is Krishna conscious. There are many so-called big swamis who appear to be very God conscious, but we really don't know behind the scenes what their activities are. But here there was a person who was Krishna conscious even while he was asleep, and that's how my faith in him increased. So it is possible that we can be Krishna conscious even while sleeping. This question is from Yashasvi Pandey. In the Bhagavad-Gita, it's written that we have to do our prescribed duty like Brahmana will do his duty. But in today's age, Prabhupada says animalistic civilization. What is our prescribed duty? Yes, that Varnashrama system where a person is following the prescription of a particular Varna and Ashrama is very difficult to follow in this present age. But Prabhupada has given us some simple guidelines that to purify our lives, we follow a simple program which I talked about in my previous session, which is called the sandwich program. We start the day with spiritual activities, spend good quality time, good amount of time engaging in spiritual activities, and then by force of circumstances, I might have to engage in some duties which may not result in me benefiting in Krishna consciousness. It may pull my consciousness down. Just like we take a bath early in the morning and throughout the day we perspire, we can get dirty, we can attract dust. And then in the evening again, 1 hour before our scheduled sleep time, we engage in Krishna conscious activities. So that way, if we do this, then quite possible these activities which are done in the morning and in the evening will have a bearing on our so-called prescribed duties or our activities which we engage in. Even though they may not have any correlation or direct relation with Krishna, still those activities will not entangle us or steep us completely into material consciousness. So that is the thing which we can follow in present age. Strictly following Varnashrama principles may be difficult. This question is from Bala Ganesh. I am miserably failing to sleep early continuously. All my uncommitted objectives of the day are not letting me to sleep peacefully early. Please guide me and give some practical tips. There are two components. One component is what is within your circle of influence. And there's another component which is not in your circle of influence. Like I said, some commitments I have. Be very clear. Many times we are not regulated. We are not disciplined. What is within our circle of influence? I can switch off my I may not have to watch the news. I may not have to reply to some of my WhatsApp messages. That's within my control. At least what is within my circle of influence we should take care of. Otherwise, mind tend to give excuses. Yes, there could be genuine circumstances where we are not able to sleep on time, but let us try as far as possible. Whatever is within our control, let's do justice to that. At least we should have that satisfaction. And pray to the Lord. Lord is all powerful. Our circumstances can change. Commitment can change. Many times we think that the world will stop if I am not working. Many times we have seen if we are not well, or let's say a person has gone abroad, for days together we are off from our office, but still work goes on. People die and still the work goes on. Nobody is in that sense indispensable. So we should try to regulate our lifestyle, try if we can delegate some of our work, act intelligently, negotiate our workload with our superiors, and see if we can bring that discipline. This question is from Venkat Reddy. Kindly suggest how to prevent worries before going to bed. As I mentioned, best thing is to chant, to read, to hear, to engage in some spiritual activities, read some, engage in some, hear some bhajans. All this will help us relax and not worry before we go to bed. This question is from Vasudeva Datta. How to avoid unwanted thoughts and mind talks if in between wake up while sleeping. As I mentioned, if we wake up and we are not able to sleep and mind starts generating a lot of thoughts and it's difficult for me to go back to sleep, we should not keep tossing and turning in the bed and keep worrying about why I'm not able to sleep or when will I get sleep. Best is that we step out of the bed and in dim light or even in the dark, we chant. Anyway, we have to chant after we get up in the morning. We can chant some, may not be the best quality chanting, but at least instead of wasting time, we can catch up our beat bag and chant. Or so that is what we can do. And if we have chanted, I'm sure when we go back to bed, when we feel drowsy, we will not have unwanted and thoughts which are sucking my consciousness or pulling my consciousness down. There is a recommendation from someone called download Do's app on Play Store, or there will you get Yoga Nidra. It's a wonderful. It will reduce your sleep hours. Yes, Yoga Nidra is also a very good, which is a guided meditation where a person takes you through, now relax this body part. There are some suggestions made. So there are a lot of audios available. We can take help of those audios if it can help us relax and get good quality sleep. I talked about an app uh, for measuring the sleep cycle. That app name is called Sleep Cycle. Uh, it's a paid version and a free version, which is for a trial version time. You can try for a few days and see if it helps. If it helps, you can go for the paid version. This question is from Ramakant Bhatt. How to effectively reduce our sleep? Some of the things which I have shared today will definitely help get good quality sleep and also reduce the number of hours we sleep. This question is from Nanda Kishore. Would you mention about the type of food we should consume for better sleep and waking up early? Good question. Yes, I mentioned that we should try to keep 2.5 hours to 3 hours gap between our scheduled bedtime, sleep time, and the last meal. And the last meal should be very, very light. I mentioned in the previous session, we should eat our breakfast like a king, eat our lunch like a prince, and eat our dinner like a pauper. Of the three meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, the lightest meal should be our dinner. And assuming for some reason we have come back late from work and we have no option, we don't have the luxury of eating before sunset, and assuming on a particular day you have to sleep at 10 o'clock and you have come back home at 9 p.m., then you have to eat. You're quite hungry and you're feeling very tired. Then maybe we can have some little fruits or maybe a glass of milk. Avoid eating the regular dinner if we are eating quite close to our scheduled sleeping time. This question is from Devansh More. In this busy lifestyle, especially for people working in corporates, please suggest ways to have dinner at least 3 hours before our bedtime. Although the proverb you mentioned would like to hear from you. Many of our devotees also, before the lockdown, they go out, and a lot of people are available if we have to meet them in the evening time, post office hours. So a lot of devotees who come back late, 9:30, 10 in the night, and even our folk devotees who are involved in youth preaching, they also at times sleep late. So if you are working in the corporate, see if you can carry some meals with you. Even the devotees who go out, they carry something with them and they try to have it at 6:37 before sunset. So see if you can pack something. There are some eatables which will not get spoiled for 6 hours, 7 hours. You can carry some fruits, some kind, again, a lot of options possible, more so in present times. May not be very healthy option. Anyway, we can have a very light dinner, but have something which you can pack with you and you can have at 6:37. It is possible. Or although I won't suggest some Tetra Pak or something juices like that, but there are possibilities if you check on the net or consult some people who are expert in cooking. They will guide you what can be made which will stay till evening and you can have it as your last meal or dinner. This question is from Vinila Nagaraj. I get up at 4 a.m. and start chanting, but I feel sleepy after chanting about 2 to 3 rounds, looking at people sleeping. Even if I go to other room, it happens. As I mentioned, quite possible that we are forcing ourselves, we are somehow getting up, again by sheer determination, which is good, but we may be getting up in middle of a sleep cycle. If it is happening day after day, day after day, day after day, there could be some other reason. But if it is happening once in a while, that you have got up and then you're feeling sleepy after having chanted 1 or 2 rounds, more so seeing other people sleeping in the home, then it could be that you've got up in the middle of a sleep cycle. And if it is, if you're getting on a regular basis, you're feeling sleepy every day, then quite possible that you're not getting enough sleep or you're not getting good quality sleep. So some of the points which I discussed in today's discussion can try to apply if something is missing in your life. As far as I mentioned about sleeping time, I mentioned about keeping 3 hours gap. See if you can incorporate some of them and see if it makes a difference. It's time now. It's already 6 o'clock. So thank you for joining us for today's Gita Life discussion. Look forward to having you next Sunday also, same time at 4:30. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.